Hey guys, it's Matt, aka Solo C, and I'm gonna give you just this rare video that's really off the cuff on the reasons why I'm quitting Star Wars, at least for the time being. I think it's fair to say that this is the game that I always come back to, but there's a lot of problems with this current iteration from the latest patch. I have definitely given it, a good try. I've gotten my gear leveled. I've done all the things. I capped first week on every currency, and it's just not enough. And I think it really stems from a complete and utter lack of content and complete disregard of what we as the players have voiced that we want versus what BioWare wants to deliver to us. Um, in a lot of ways, I can mirror this expansion launch with the launch of Shadowlands. First week, everybody's having fun, and then we realize, oh my God, we're capped on everything. We can't get loot, and we're just stuck. Then it comes down to, at least in Shadowlands, there was multiple stories that I could go do. I could level up an alt and go play through a different covenant, whatever. Here, I'm stuck with 2 hours of new story, and that's both Imperial and Republic. Like, it's 1 hour for Republic, 1 hour for Imperial, and that's not skipping cutscenes. You have a really bugged Flashpoint that came out, which, it's somewhat cool, I guess. I went into it blind. It was kind of fun. But the fact that it's bugged, and you send out a dev tracker notice to say, hey, just stay to the edge of it because the center of the thing is a bottomless abyss that will destroy you, even though it looks like solid ground. Then you have the thousands of bugs, which anytime a new, expansion goes live, I expect there to be bugs. There was one where if you went and chose a combat style, say you were a Jedi Guardian and you chose the combat style of the Sith Assassin, there was a bug to where you would end up on the Imperial fleet as a Jedi Knight because you're a Sith Assassin, and you're just stuck there. And there's nothing you could do. There were countless other bugs between having to complete the story. Brings me to my first complaint, is there was no skip to the newest content. I had to complete last expansion's story content in order to get to this one. And now seeing what content was there, I understand why. Because there was nothing there. But even then, it's still a pain to have to go through. Like, I had tunes still on Osis. And Osis, it takes an hour to get through, and it gives you very little XP. I don't think, like, that was really well thought out. And if it was intentional, I would say to you, this is a game of alts. This is not a game of I have one character and that's the only character I play. Very few people at the end game play like that. Like, I have 39 characters. I have one friend that is up in the 80s. I have another friend that has hit server cap several times. And I want people to recognize that, like, yes, it's great that we get to listen to this story and it's a good story, but I don't want to have to listen to it 39 times. Furthermore, I would go as far to say that when you implemented the currencies, you didn't learn from your competitors. You haven't learned from your own previous mistakes. These caps are way too low. Because these caps are account bound. Once again, I play a game of alts, as do most people. And because these caps are so low, we can't gear any of our alts. I am a tank main first. Well, in order for me to gear my tank, I would have to just invest all of my resources into gearing a tank. And then I would not have a DPS for the groups that I do play as a DPS. So I'm just stuck. Oh, I've got tank gear, guys. Sorry. You have to have some sort of give and take, right? Like, you want to slow people down so they're not just max level within the first week. But that can be done if you play one class and you just focus on getting that one class gear and you have mirrors of that class. Which, I mean, that's what I do. I have 5 troopers and 3 bounty hunters. But other people, they're stuck. They're like, well, man, I can get to 322 this week, maybe 322 next week on my other tune. And then that brings me to the one resource that I think was poorly implemented. And from the name, I can infer that this was supposed to come from the Manon daily zone, which would have been fine, mind you, if it was, hey, you got to go do dailies at this new zone. I'm used to that. That's fine. I'm okay with it. But what I'm not okay with it is, hey, you have to go do old heroics that have been in the game since launch in order to get this currency to upgrade any of your gear from any of the different places you can get gear from it. So no matter what, you're pigeonholed into doing things that you can one-shot and you'll be bored to tears. Now granted, it only takes me about 30 to 40 minutes of time to do that. But, I mean, other players that don't have that time, like, that just takes away from them doing what they actually want to do. And furthermore, you're taking away the player's right to choose what content they want to participate in. Like, raiders should be able to get gear just from raiding. People who do flashpoints should be able to get gear just from doing flashpoints. I'm not saying the 6.0 had the best loot system. It didn't. People were in NIM gear really quickly and by not doing a bunch. You need to have those tiers, but the problem is you guys don't seem, like BioWare doesn't seem to understand it. They're going from one extreme directly to the other. Now, okay, fine. You don't want gear given to you? Well, you have to go do all the content in the game in order to get gear. Right now, the most efficient way to get gear is to do the Galactic Starfighter Weekly and to do your PvP weeklies. That's it. That's the most efficient way. And I don't PvP. Well, I mean, I do, but not regularly. I'm not good. I don't spend a lot of time doing it. So I shouldn't have to go do that in order for me to get the gearing that I want. But even then, I would still have to go do weeklies and do these heroics and make darn sure I do all of them. Because then I'll get capped. And once those are capped, I'm done. I can't do any more upgrades. So I got to be smart about how I do my upgrades. Therein lies the problem, is you're recycling old content and you're mandating that everybody has to do that old content in order to upgrade their gear. And to be quite honest, it's not enjoyable. I mean, it's bad enough that in 6.0 we've gotten one raid. In 5.0, we got one raid. Piecemealed to us, mind you. In 4.0, we got no raid. In 3.0, we got 2 raids. And not 2.0, 3.0, we got 2 raids. And in 2.0, we had, I think, 4 raids. 2.0 was your best expansion yet. And you could have done that. You could have been the 2.0. And I get that these past 2 years have been hard on devs, but there has been plenty of companies that have succeeded working from home. So I do not accept that as an excuse. It is your responsibility as somebody who provides a service to actually deliver what you're bringing. And to me, it feels like you did not deliver this X-Pack. This feels like a patch. And let's talk about that patch. The inventory is a mess. If I go to the character loadout screen, what's this? My weapon? I can't change the way it looks in the outfitter because that couldn't work. So now, all of my blasters that I have here in collections, I can't use. Can't use a single one of them because, hey, all of these are locked. Taking away the moddable things was I get that it can be easier for balancing and help make the gearing a little bit easier. But because you couldn't figure out this part of it, means I'm stuck with this. And this is an ugly gun. Like, you should have at least replaced the assets or added some way for us to change the way the gun looks. I mean, something, but you didn't. And it just looks terrible, and we have to deal with that. Then we have the details screen. So sometimes when I'm learning a new class, I like to play with the old character screen up so that I can see what buffs I'm getting and how that changes my stats. I can't do that anymore because I have to pull up this details screen and scroll through it. A character sheet should be clean to where I can just look at the character sheet and know my stats. I shouldn't have to click on the character sheet, then click on something in the character sheet to see my stats. This is pointless. My stats should be right here. I don't care about this, don't care about this, don't care about this. What I care about is my absorb and my shield on my tank, my crit, and my accuracy and my alacrity on my DPSs. But nope, we gotta click here for details. Combat styles are cool, even though to me it was not implemented the way that you guys first initially said it was going to be implemented. At least the community's understanding of it. Loadouts, I don't have a complaint with. I actually genuinely like loadouts. I think that's a great addition. It's something that's been needed. A lot of people have a hard time with having to choose certain things. And I think that does make it a different game in a sorts. And some of the things I really like, some of the things I really don't like. I will say certain classes feel really underwhelming. And it makes me wonder if you guys actually play the games. And this is me talking directly to the devs. Because, you know, I don't think they actually play the game. And if they do, they don't play it at a high-end level at all. And I wouldn't even say at a high-end level. I don't think that they do veteran operations. Because if they did, they would understand that when they took out the Twin Godfang, that it made Combat Sentinel unplayable. But they didn't. There is so many of my friends that are Combat Sentinels that are not playing the game. Because that's what they like to play, is Combat Sentinel. And they're just not allowed to play the game at all. Because they're going to do less damage than every DPS by a large margin. And now they're not able to make DPS checks even though they're equally geared. And it's just not fair. And I get, like, certain, one class has to be the worst, and I get that. But it shouldn't be that large of a gap. And BioWare just doesn't seem to care about those players. They look at who's playing what, and they're like, oh, well, nobody plays combat, and, let's see if we can tweak it. And we're going to take out this Twin God thing because when I was playing it, we were just spamming one button, and that's not fun. Well, the reason we were spamming one button was because that was the only viable way to play it. And then you took it out, and there's no viable way to play it. You have completely butchered the class. You're going to have to completely rework it in 7.1 to make it viable. What I would suggest is go back to the 3.0 Carnage Marauder and Combat Sentinel. Make it all proc-based. That would be an interesting way of doing it. But no, you've made it like this whole like speed thing where you and that just doesn't work in a raid scenario. And speaking of raids, I know that in 7.1 you have a new raid coming out, and bravo. Hopefully it's not your only one for the expansion, but I have a feeling it will be, because that is really the way you guys have been for the past 5-6 years is, hey, we're going to do one raid and that'll keep everybody happy. It doesn't. It doesn't. I would hope you would have learned from the failure that was World of Warcraft's Shadowlands expansion, but obviously you did not. And I hate to draw parallels here between SWTOR and World of Warcraft, but let's just be honest, they made the exact same mistakes. Lack of content and really bad implementation of new systems. And because of all of that is why I'm no longer playing this game. After I get done with this video and it goes live, I'm going to cancel my sub because I believe we should vote with our wallets. And you don't, as a company, BioWare does not deserve my money. If they're going to dish out complete and utter garbage. And that's what this is. 7.0 is the worst expansion that they have ever released. I would go as far to say it is not an expansion at all. Sorry for the rant, guys, but this is the reasons why I'm not playing. Y'all have a great time. If you enjoy the game still, please continue to play it. I just don't. I'm hoping that they will release something that I will enjoy, even if it's more story content, because I do like questing. But, they like to piecemeal content, which is just not fair to their players. There's nothing to do in this game that's not recycled content. So, y'all have a great one, and I will see you around.